We will be working with long documents. We're looking to one by one all the different features to what you need to be able to handle when you work with these type of projects. And with one of the aspects of working with a long document is of course having a table of contents. Now, the table of content can be added manually, but that's not really a professional way of doing it because you want your table of content updated based on the changes made to the document. InDesign offers a much smarter way, an automated approach to create the table of contents, and again, this will heavily rely on paragraph styles. So I opened up the styles exercise document here and the one we created previously. I'm going to add an additional page at the beginning of this document. Just add one page, bring it at the beginning, click here. And now for the table of contents, we need a text frame. So I'm just going to create that, switch back to normal view so that I could see my frame and I can place my text like so. So once I have my frame in place, I can go into the layout menu. Here I have the option and I can choose the table of contents. Now it is going to first of all ask which paragraph style do I want to track the content of my document. So in this case I will use the heading and we'll add. So this is an included paragraph style which will populate my table contents, and I can decide how I want this to look like. With the table of contents, I can decide to have the same style or create a new style for it. But because the heading style might be a little bit over style for the table of contents, then I'm going to make sure it includes the full paragraph. So I can choose include numbers only, basic paragraph. See more options. I can select here where I can place the page number after entry. So I will rename this as the title, like a table of contents table. And even this can be stylized with whatever style I want here. So I'm going to choose a heading style. And I'm going to just give an OK. And then you say yes, it is going to load into my cursor. And you can just click here and it will be placed right like so. So I created or prepared, and as you can see, it already has all the destinations from this document and the page numbers where they're located. Now, if I want to make this a little bit better, I could create a new paragraph style. Just create a new paragraph. Make sure nothing is selected. New paragraph style. I'm going to edit this. Choose Arial font style, maybe a little bit bigger, and maybe Arial bold will do it fine here. And then click OK. Now I can go back to my layout menu, table of contents, and here I can choose style as paragraph style 1. Give OK. Yes. And as you can see, it has updated successfully. Maybe I should change the paragraph style 1 to just based on 3 copy. So that is why this blue color is coming up. So I'm going to change it to regular basic no paragraph style, and maybe I'll just make this a regular once again and give OK. Also, the door set is coming this way. Now go ahead and check again, edit paragraph style, no paragraph style, or basic paragraph. Just give OK. Go ahead to my table of contents, and here the page numbers are. I'm going to give the paragraph style as no paragraph style. I'm going to give this style as OK and do yes. This is updated to something else. Maybe I'll just give this one as paragraph style, and table style one for heading, and this one as no paragraph style, and give OK. Yes. Edit paragraph style, and maybe go back here, give OK. Just link this one more time, and go here, entry style. That will be style one, heading, destination, copy. So it will be paragraph style one as, and then OK. Give OK. Yes. And should assign paragraph style one to this one as well. So maybe I'll just edit this one. It's based on no paragraph style. Okay. Maybe I'll just go back to my table of contents, paragraph style one. Here I have a text color that is cyan. Maybe I'll just select here and give black. None. It's the character style, paragraph border, paragraph shading. Character color is cyan here. That is why it's coming as cyan. Switch it to black, and maybe if I want the tint a little bit lower, then I can lower that up. Here, no basic paragraph. Grab style, highlight door set. I have a grab style here. I'll just delete this one. Okay. So that's clear with this, that I have the door set optional. So it's just I cleared it out, and now this looks fine by me. Now I would like to make sure the page numbers are aligned to left, or if they are on the right, I want them to be lined up just right under each other, and it will make easier for my readers to see where these stories are in the book, because wherever you do in InDesign, you always have to keep in mind for your viewers to make it easy to find the relevant information and they're looking for. So what I'm going to do is go back to the table of contents. And click on more options and right, so that you will see all of these options. Now we decide whether the page number will be after the entry or before the entry. So once I set it before entry, and I could also decide whether I want the space between the entry and the page number. By default, it's set to tab character, but that can be changed to anything within this list. But I'm going to keep the tab in there, and I'm going to go ahead and click OK. So once we accept that change, we'll be able to see immediately it's already much better. If I press W, I can see how this looks. And don't forget, we already talked about tabs. So if I want a little bit more space, all I have to do is use Control-Shift-T to bring up my tab panel. And here we can define exactly where we want to have the first tab in the division. Click here, maybe left indent or right indent. Click and drag and reposition it right like so. Now it's really up to you how do you want to make it look. But if you want to have the page numbers after entry, so then instead of having this tab defined like that, I would go back to my table of contents, and here I'm going to choose it after entry, and instead of a tab here, I'm going to choose right indent tab. Just remove this and then go right indent tab and give OK, and you can see immediately the update has been made. It just is not simply placing the numbers to the specified tab distance, but it automatically aligns whatever is after the right indent tab and all the way to the far edge of your frame. And to adjust the space, all you have to do is adjust the size of the frame. By adjusting the width, you can bring it closer or further away. So one more thing you can do about updating your table of contents is, let's just say you have at the moment summer huts and wild ponies at the beginning, but we are asked to move that all the way to the end. So that's the page number 2. I'll just grab here and drag and drop to the last page. Now if I want to update it here, then I can go to the layout menu, update the table of contents, and give a yes, and there you can see immediately the update has been made and they are corresponding to the page number in the document. So just to make sure you understand these pages are tracked, I want to switch back to number 2, and let's say here you can see that this is the text that is using the heading style, and my table of content is tracking this paragraph style. So wherever the paragraph style appears in the document will become the entry in the table of contents, and the other paragraph style that we created here is unnamed paragraph style, is simply applied to stylize the entries within the table of contents. So normally for entry level in your table of contents, you would probably have 2 paragraph styles, one for being tracked within the document and another one simply to stylize the entry within the table of contents. So normally I would call this one TOC style. Click here, maybe make sure nothing is selected. Add that here. I'm going to call it TOC and level 1, abbreviate to LV1. Okay. And of course you can use character styles like in the previous examples. Here as well you can stylize the page numbers, and I already have a character style in this document, the one called highlight. Another one we have is called drop cap. We can try out very quickly something from the layout menu from the table of contents. Just go here, select this table of contents, and we can style a drop down for a page number. I can choose here. Maybe I'll just choose highlight and click OK and give yes, and see how that updates. Now I can see that being stylized as well. Let me show a bonus trick. If I create a new character style without having anything selected, just go in here, edit character style, go to basic character formats, make sure underline is on. Go to underline options, line on, type, maybe give Japanese dots, and the weight maybe 1 point. And the color to be black, and give OK. This character style does not have anything included inside it, so I'm going to go to my table of contents. We have an option here. We can assign space for entry and the number. So not only the entry can use the paragraph style, the number, a character paragraph style, can be a space between them. So I can use the character style to define the space between these two characters. So let's go ahead and give it character style and then give yes. Now you will see that we have a little nice connection between these two lines, and if I feel like it's a little bit too small even when I zoom in, then I could simply just go in here, edit character style, and on my options maybe I'll just increase the weight, and there you can see it a little bit more clearly. Of course, you can bring down the tint if you feel like if it is too strong. 10, 20, okay, and it starts to look better. So that's how you create a table of contents. Now we'll be working with the multi-level table of contents. Now let's take a look at a table of contents with a little bit complex example. I'm just going to open up the workbook here. Here I have created table of contents with 3 levels. I created based on the paragraph styles throughout the document. Now if you go into the layout menu, table of contents, you will see exactly how I built this. So I have 3 different paragraph styles which are each at the separate level within the table of contents, and I have section titles and then topics and then the feature titles. So it's exactly what you see here. We have the section which has images here and or introduction or text, and we have topics like image frames, aligning images and styling images and so on. And then these are features. There are these smaller entries you can see on both of these columns. The way you set up the levels is very simple. You can choose what level the current selection is. So this is the 3rd paragraph style here. If I change my mind, I can set this to level 2 or maybe level 3. And we have 10 levels here. Now because we have 3 levels, I am just going to keep this on level 3. And then you can actually see that I use the same method as the previous example. I have used the right indented tab between the entry and the number, and then connecting them with this dot character style and using a line with Japanese dot style. Apart from these 3 paragraph styles that are being tracked throughout the document, I also have a style just simply for formatting the text here, the table of contents. And then I also have 3 separate paragraph styles for formatting the entries. So for example, the section entry would be using for this style, and the one here uses the second style, and then the feature would use that style. So feature, third style. So it's probably easier if we open up the paragraph style panels here. And there you can check that in this document I created a document setup group within which we have all these styles, and out of these that has TOC in the beginning and is being used for the table of contents. I could create a separate group within this if I wanted to. So if I click here, it's going to come up with a group here. I can have all these styles within one group. I'll just click and drag and make it within one group, and rename this group as TOC style. And for these three, I'll create another group. And name it as TOC tracking. Select all of these. So just to see how this works, if I go to one of these pages, yes, let's say here, I select this. I'm gonna have to use Alt Control L to release these and to unlock them. If I click on this, you can see that here you see the topic normal. This is on different paragraph style, that is section normal. The one tracking here are the different paragraph styles, and one the copies are a different paragraph style. The reason why I also have separate styles, because if I have them on each page, then these will show up with the same styles that I'm tracking them within the table of contents, and it would create too many duplicates. So I would just go back here, and you can see the actual section that shows up once and then one. On the rest of the pages, it shouldn't be appearing. Otherwise, this will be repeated every time. So just to show you this, the images option will actually show up here. And on this page, if I unlock these using actual section paragraph style, and on all the pages of the word, it is going to use another style which is formatted the same way, but it is not being tracked by the table of contents. And there's one more thing we need to look at. What if I have two topics or features within one page, but here on the top maybe only one is written here? Let's just say I'll rename this as only control points, and there's no cropping points here. So I'll just take a new tab here, cropping points. Alright. So I don't actually want to have this on page. I still want to see this on the table of contents. Well, using this text print, I have placed it anywhere here. I'm going to use the feature paragraph style. Make sure you see that from here. Okay. And I don't want this to show up in the document. So what I will do, I will just create a separate layer, new layer. Just cut this from there, and here I'll paste in place. Just place the new layer. As you can see, it is highlighted with a red outline, bounding box. Then I will just simply hide this layer. Now I will go back to my table of contents. Here I'm gonna check mark this include text on hidden layers, and it's gonna go ahead and give OK and give yes. And let's go back and check here in our here you can see control points and cropping points both have come up in the table of contents. One more thing I want to mention is that if you save a PDF, you want to make sure that you save as hyperlinks. Export print. Here, you want to save it as export hyperlinks here. Because that way the table of contents will allow readers to click on these items or entries, and that will make them immediately go to the corresponding page. And when you go into the file export PDF print, export, make it interactive, go to save, here you can use these options, multiple options. You have compression, you have advanced, security. And then click on save. Once you do this, not only appearance, you will include all. Make sure you do this. And this is something that we will come back with later. But for now, that's all we needed to know about the long document. Specifically about, now we will be talking about the text variables and markers. When it comes to working with long documents in InDesign, you will definitely have to work with the text variables and markers, because these are the objects that can update themselves based on the context they are in, and they can save you a lot of time and headache. So I'll just open the file from here, job lines. Right. So a very simple example of them is a current page number, which you should always place on the master page to keep it consistent throughout the document. So if I go to the master page, click here, and when I'm going to double click here, then I'm going to type menu, go to insert special character, give current page number. And you double click here and enter yes. Okay, type menu, special character, small markers, and in current page number you can use the shortcut that is Control Alt Shift N. And if you select this, immediately you will see a marker will be represented with a capital A here in the master page. But as soon as I go to any of the pages in the document, it simply represents always the current page number. And now of course if I go to my master page, it will go back to where it was before. So we can format it to whatever font we want, the color, the position as well. And for some reason we want to make a local override, then you can just have a control click on the frame within the page where the local override is necessary. Let me show you another useful text variable called last page number. Once again, I will do here, go to master page, and I will simply just type in here slash after current page number. Then I'm gonna go to the type menu and go through the text variables, go to insert variable, and here it is, the last page number. It's quite a hidden away feature, but it's very useful nonetheless. So once it's placed in, I can see number 1 here, and that is because my master page has only one page. So that's the last page number here, 1. But when I go to my actual pages, let's go here, it shows, I will see the number 3 there. So this is the 1 out of 3. And then I can go to again here, that is 2 out of 3, and then 3 out of 3. Now of course, if I create a new page at the end, it will automatically update with the last page as number 4. So that's what I mean when you would save you a lot of headache using these variables and markers, because you would not want to do this one by one. Every time you add a new page, updating on each individual page, the text frame with the page numbers, these things should be all automatic. Now, of course, you can make changes, like if I go back again and the master page and go back here and type page, P-A-G-E, page in space, then go back here, shows page 1 of 4, page 2 of 4, and so on and so forth. So if you want your variables and markers can be mixed with a static text that does not update based on the context. Now you can also create a custom text variable which can keep you again consistently throughout the document. Let's say if a product name needs to be updated, you would not have to use find change command. You would just have to update your variable, which will then update every instance throughout the whole document. Well, let's just try this out through the type menu. I'm going to go in the text type menu, go in the text variables, go in here and define. Now once I'm here, I can give a new, I can call this Illustrator InDesign. I'm going to name this as InDesign. I'm going to type it as custom text. Text would be InDesign CC 2022. I'm going to go ahead and give OK. Say if I want any special characters, I can add them from here as well. And then it will show up in the options here where I can choose from. Now I can go back and edit. I can do from the edit option, but for now I'm just going to click on done. And then I will select the text that is here. And then I'm going to replace it with this variable. So I'm going to choose, type variable, insert variable, and here I'm going to choose this option. So it is just updated, but more importantly, if I use this and keep using it throughout the document, I will be able to then update the definition, the original text variable definition, which will be immediately updated throughout all the instances of these throughout the document. I'll just select this and redefine that again. Right, now if I go to the text variable, go back to define and edit this, edit, say I'll just give it 2023, and then click OK. This is done, and you can see immediately it will be updated here in the text. So the text variable definition is the source. If it gets updated, then it updates all the instances throughout the document, no matter what style or no matter what paragraph or character style you're using. Now in this document, I already have something else that I have set up, and that is a running header. You can see that up here in the top left corner. I'll just go back to the master page. I can show you here that this is the running header. This is another variable. So if I select this, I go back to my type menu, text variables, go to insert, and here I have a running header option. It is going to place in then here, and this will depend again how you set up the variable itself. So to see how this is set up, we can go back to here again, and text variables define. Here I have running header. Go to edit, and you will see exactly what this does. So this is looking for a certain paragraph style. So any first instance of that style will be replicated on the top of that header, and so this is running header variable will duplicate whatever is written in the first instance of the heading paragraph style. So let's see how this works. If I go back to my actual first page here, and so whatever is written here will show up here. And now if I go to my next page, it is empty. So because there is nothing new here, the same heading will just keep using the previous one. But then if I go to my next page, I have another instance here of the same paragraph style, and the running header will automatically update as long as there is no new instance here. Again, it's just still going to keep using the previous copy. If I go to the page number 4, so let's just see how this works. I'll just go back to the page number 1. I'll make any change in this copy here. Let's say I'm going to make this variables and the text markers instead of just this, and give OK. And it will take a few moments to refresh. In case if it doesn't, just then go here, type text variables, insert variables. Okay. Go to master, choose this, go back. I'll just type in running header once again. It's variable running header. Right. Now I'll go to the first page, and you can see it got updated. It gets automatically updated, but it was taking so long, so I needed to go back there and update it like that. It takes just a little bit of refresh time, so it might not happen straight away, but as you can see, it got updated. I'll show you another marker which I like to use, and I call it a jump line marker, which can be used to explain where a story is continued within the document. So in our case, you can see that we have this copy that starts here, and then it continues on the third page here. So if there's a couple of pages in between, you would probably want to say where the story is continued, and that's exactly what is happening here. So at the bottom we have the text frame similar like a caption which says continued to page 3. The cool thing is, because once again this is a marker, it is going to automatically understand and update itself based on where the rest of the copy is within the document. So if I, let's say, select the third page and drag it here at the fourth page, it will automatically update to page 4. So if I go to the last page now, that's here, It says continued from page 1 since once again, and this is another marker. So if I change the position of page 1, maybe from here to here, it is going to immediately say this is continued from page 2 section. So if I go to the type menu, okay, I can show you what it exactly is called. I'll just go back and place them where they were. Okay, from the edit menu, type menu, special characters and markers, next page number is called next page number, and the one at the page number 3 is called the previous page number. Currently they are disabled because you need to activate by clicking on here, have your cursor blinking, and then you go there and you'll see them activated, the markers, next page number or previous page number, depending on what is your content about. You can place them right like so. Now once I do that, that is exactly where I can use it there. One thing you have to keep in mind is this is the frame wherever you are using the next page or previous page markers has to overlap the story frame, which is continued and set up in a thread. So if I move this further down, let's say I move this down, it will stop the connection. It says continued on page 1, and it won't be able to tell where it is continued. So it will just say current page number, and you can see it's page number 1 right now. If I move back that again, if I overlap these two, then it starts to say again, update itself and say page number 3. So it might be worth grouping them together, so these two frames won't get separated. Click on them, right click and group. And that's all about the markers and variables. Make sure you practice these techniques, and you can move on to the next feature, that is the smart text reflow that can import large amount of text into your InDesign documents. Now for that you need to set up a new InDesign documents into which you need to import a large amount of text from another application or an existing text document. So first of all, I'm going to close this, close all, give no. Okay, and I'm gonna create a new document and set this to A5. Go over here, print A5 millimeters, and facing pages on, portrait orientation document. And I will also make sure that the imported one, this is turned on a primary text frame here. This will allow to auto generate all the necessary pages in our InDesign document for the imported text. So having that on, I can now go ahead and click create. Now that is going to generate a text frame already on our master pages here, as you can see. And they will be automatically threaded to each other. View extras, show text threads, right like so. And if I now go to my first page here, I can automatically see a text frame. I can use a file place command, place, and here in the book is this file, and it's a whole copy of the book. You can use I'll use this to practice upon. And if I choose open, show import options and give open, it's going to ask me how I would like to import this. Sometimes I miss this and it causes a lot of trouble later on. So remove at the end of every line, and you can decide to remove the paragraphs as well. More importantly, this should be turned on. In case you accidentally forget this and you have to fix it later, I'll show you a workaround later on. But as long as you have these options on, it should filter out the issues for you in advance. And you can even automate things like having multiple spaces and replace that with a tab, and so on and so forth. For now, I'm going to leave as it is, and I'm just going to click OK. The first page is filled. It is going to take a while, and then after a little bit of loading, all the additional pages will be generated within the same InDesign document. Now you see that this is actually quite a lot of pages. It is kind of 439 pages long document. Now it is not recommended to have that much pages within one InDesign file. Instead, you should use a separate InDesign file for each of your chapters in case of books, or separate InDesign files for each of your articles in case of magazines. But we will take a look at that later on. Now I'll show you how to combine your separate InDesign files into a book format. For now, let's just understand what allows us to able to create this long document so quickly and so easily. Now if you go to the preferences, go to type, you'll find the same settings. Smart text reflow is on. It means it will automatically add the pages whenever we are running out of page for a story. And you can see this feature limited to primary text frame by default. So this is the great way it's set up, but I normally would turn on, and this will call delete empty pages preset. It will allow InDesign to automatically remove the pages if they are not necessary anymore. Now when would that happen? For example, if I set this all these text, click on here, Control A, and let's say I'll just bring it down the text to 11 or 10 maybe, and you can see the page numbers have significantly reduced to 315 pages. So this will be completely automated, and in process of all these pages are threaded together, so never attempt it to do manually. Creating all the individual pages one by one, and then create threads and the copy or replace your text in there. If you have a long document, you can do this much faster like this. And if you want to divide your copy into chapters, it would be a good start, and then you just have to move pages into a separate document for each of these chapters. So just to remind you of how that works, let's start with the chapter 1 in this case. Let's go up here. Chapter 1 starts from here. Chapter 1 starts from here. Click here. And I'm going to just place a break character here. I'm going to type space page break. I'm going to make sure that this is on the next page, and we just need to find where it finishes. So it will go till here. Okay, so this is the page number 16, 15, 16, 17. This is page number 15. This is 16, so it is till 16. Yep. So what I can do is I can go to the pages panel and select all of these pages. Start from here to here, hold shift and click in here. Right click on this and you can move pages. First of all, we need a new document here to make sure we have a destination where they can be moved. So I'm going to just give file new document and just resume that, just create. Okay, so having all of these selected, hold shift, move pages. So it's not the current document we want to move to, we want to move to the untitled 2. That's another new fresh document. I could just say put at the start of the document, and if I wanted to I could even delete the pages after moving. For now I'll just keep them, and so if I click OK, it will switch to another document, right, like so. Also remember, when you import a lot of text from a text file, so the smart text reflow is a key technique. So you have to learn to be able to work with long documents in InDesign. Later on, I'll show you how to combine separate InDesign files into a book format. And we will be also learning a couple of new additional techniques along the way as well. And we have arrived at the most crucial aspects of working with long documents in InDesign, and that is how to set up and work with a book file. Now, first of all, what is the reason of creating a book file? If you have anything longer than 100 pages, you should not keep it in one InDesign file, especially if there's a lot of images involved. But even if it's just a copy, it's still best to keep maybe chapters as individual InDesign files and then connect them using a book file. You probably can get away slightly more than 100 pages within one InDesign file, but sometimes it will be definitely slowing down your system, and because every time you have to open that file or make changes to it, export it, or it will be very time consuming, and more likely that you will make mistakes that you don't notice. Another reason why it is useful to have multiple InDesign files connected together, creating a longer document, is that individual InDesign files can be worked on by multiple designers, so simultaneously more people can work without interfering with each other, but the end result still can be synchronized. And so that's why we have the book feature in InDesign. So let's just create a book file. I'm just going to use this example of Bram Stoker's Dracula book, and I have these InDesign files prepared. Actually there's 4 of them. There are 3 chapters and 1 preface. So I'm going to start by creating a new book. I'm going to locate this to same here. The name is Dracula. Earlier I created, so I'll just keep over and yes. Here I have this panel. So it doesn't necessarily have to be in the same folder, but I like to keep them all together. So I'm going to click save, and then this creates a panel and where you can add your necessary work combining these documents together. First of all, we need to add all the documents by clicking on this plus sign. I'll just add all of these. Give open. So before you import your documents, make sure that the numbering is set up correctly. and they should be in the right order. Now once you click open, they should be loaded in the order. For any reason, if the order is not right, you can of course drag and rearrange the documents as well. And then notice the numbers of pages have been assigned automatically based on the length of each of these documents. And then there's another icon which indicates the style source. It means all the paragraph and character styles that I will use here will automatically be synchronized throughout these documents. To keep consistency throughout the whole book, I'm going to show you exactly how this works. So if I go to chapter 1, page 1, I could save a paragraph style title, but because it's not going to be present in other documents, it's not relevant to work on that. But what's more important is to set up a style for body copy and maybe the chapter titles. So let's start with the chapter title. I'm going to set this one at the center, and I could use a different font. Let's switch to Arial Black or maybe Arial Regular. Let's increase the font size like so. Or I could just add a paragraph shading from here and maybe choose the color red. And then I might need to change the text color to white. Also, I need to go back to shading here and alt click on this option. I will unlink these and will give a little bit of an offset and go OK. So I could add these as a chapter title with my paragraph styles here. Click on here and maybe add paragraph styles, chapter title, and I'm going to go ahead and give OK. Now when I click onto this text here, for example, I'll select this paragraph. I will make it, let's say, 10 points here, and maybe I'll change the font to Arial. Regular, and I'm going to give a new paragraph style and call it body copy. Go ahead and give OK. So once this is saved, I just need to make sure that this is applied to everything that's within this document. So I'm going to go ahead and save this file, and this file as well. Right. So I'm going to go ahead here and select synchronize document. I need to select all of these. First of all, I'll make the change here in chapter 1. I'll just select Control A, shift click on this, remove that, and give body copy style here. The fastest way to select all of this text is this one, Command A, Control A, and then shift click and remove the chapter or title or heading. And then I can just click on the body copy and it will be changed. The whole document will update the necessary, and there will be of course unnecessary pages left. I'll just select all of these and right click delete spreads. I'm gonna go ahead and give OK. So there's a thing we need to keep in mind, that styles that we use in document will need to be used in other chapters as well. So for the synchronization to work, if I want to import these styles into other documents, all I have to do is select the other two chapters. Let's make this as here and select other two chapters. Click on here and synchronize selected documents. It is important that the style source was set to chapter 1 document, where we created the body copy and the chapter title styles. So I can see from the message the synchronization has been completed. Go to the chapter here and I can see immediately all the panels have been updated here. Although the styles hasn't been applied yet to the copy, they are already available here in the paragraph style panel. So for both chapter 2 and chapter 3 we have them here, and also for the preface. Let's go and check it. Preface, we don't have it here, so just select here and synchronize selected documents, and you will just have this file right here. So in the preface I could just select all copy and give body copy. Here I'll just select all text here and give body copy. I will just give the formatting to me right away. We have extra file. This is something else, extra pages here. Right click and delete pages. Give OK. Same thing, we can go to the chapter 2, select Control A, give body copy as formatting. Go to first page. Now maybe select the chapter 2 here. Give chapter title, and maybe I'll just select all the extra pages, right click and delete pages. Same thing I'm going to repeat with the chapter 3. Double click here, Control A, body copy, and go to the chapter 3 here and chapter title. Well, maybe remove the extra pages as well. Right click, delete spreads. OK. So don't forget to work with the headings as well when you do this. Now that we have style assigned through the chapter, we can already test the synchronization by going back to chapter 1. Let's just say, maybe I'll just change this to bold, maybe. Go ahead and give bold here. And I would want to make it smaller a little bit. Okay. So now if I see I want to update this here, just right click here, redefine style. And once I get it updated, I can go to my chapter documents and check whether it's updated there. Because it's not synchronized, it won't show in the current version here. Just select both of these, right click, synchronize selected documents. You OK, and then you see that update happening right there. Just like before, once we do that, we will see these updates for everything that we have in the documents. Now you have to be careful to make sure whether you use synchronize option that you deselect your documents if you want them all to be synchronized, or if you have one or two selected, then only those two selected will be synchronized, and whether selected source is going to be copied throughout the document. So you can think of chapter 1 as the master chapter. So now we know how to synchronize the styles. We will now be looking at how to export the book and how to fix the copy, because probably you have noticed that there are some very short lines, and that's because we have these rogue line breaks throughout the whole copy. That prevents a nice natural flow, and for the copy to make use of the available space between the margins. There's a quick fix for this, and it's very important to learn. Again, it's a very common thing that happens when you import a lot of text from other applications. Now I'll show you a very useful technique whenever you get text into InDesign and you find yourself having unnecessary line breaks hidden throughout the whole copy. I call them rogue line breaks. So you can find them and turn them on, the hidden characters. That's using Control Alt I, and also you have to have your preview option on. There. So in this paragraph, for example, at the end of each line we have a line break, and that prevents the text to flow naturally and creates a type of runs or short lines like this. And with the east we have the massive space in the rest of the line. That's completely unnecessary. So it's best to avoid bringing in copy having this mistake, but if it happens, let me just show you a quick fix using find change feature. First of all, notice between the paragraph we have actually 2 line breaks. So one's at the end of the line, and then another empty between actual 2 paragraph. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to deselect everything, and then I'm going to use the command Control F feature, go to text. Here I'm going to, in the text tab, set up define what to look, and that's to end of paragraph. Here in a paragraph I'll select 2 instances, and then I want to change that to forced line break, which is a shift enter, and then I'm going to click change all. Found 42 replacements, and I'm going to go ahead and give OK. I had to do this in this chapter. That is, change all. 85 replacement has been made. So if I click OK, and now our document looks fine. Now at the end of each paragraph we have forced line breaks, and the reason I did that because I can now remove all the additional line breaks within the documents which are not necessary. So I can just say look for actual line breaks. Just go ahead and delete this and line breaks, and change it to as simple as space. Then I'm going to change all again. Again, it has found replacement for that as well. Click OK, and forced line breaks are turned into normal line breaks because now there is no line break at all. The whole copy of this chapter is actually handled as one big paragraph. Now if I have anything nothing selected, means find change can apply it to the whole document. I can go back and say find what we need, forced line breaks. We want to change them at the end of paragraph option. The paragraph, change it over again. So our forced line breaks. Change all. Okay. The only thing now is to go back at the beginning of the document and select all. Let's go here and select Control A, and deselect here by shift clicking this. And select the body copy. Once we already define this, I'm going to just have a space at the beginning of each paragraph, and that we can remove again with a fine change if you wanted to, but it looks much better. If we edit our body copy, and we'll add some spacing, space after, maybe just 4 mm of spaces. Separates and makes it visually better, so I can just go ahead and click OK. Let's bring this Dracula here, make it by. Okay, I'll just give one more line breaks here. Go to type, search break character, page break. Let's go ahead and undo that. Now I can also maybe go in here and maybe change hyphenation, switch it off to no hyphenation. And give OK. So now we have our body copy fixed, and because we have done this in the chapter 1, it will apply to all the other documents as soon as we do synchronization. So just by doing this again, select these documents, give OK, and do the same for the preface as well, and the body copy will look much healthier now. Just like so. By doing this, we might get additional pages within the copy, but you can remove them later. So of course I would do this in all the chapters if the text needs some fixing. But before we finalize our book, I want to also make sure that we have at least page number on the master page. So I'm going to go there and create a text frame using a shortcut, Ctrl Alt Shift N. Let's go to the master page here. Shift Alt N. Get text frame. Click and drag. Ctrl Shift Alt N, and there I have my page number. Set it right like so. Hold Alt and drag the copy, and then maybe go to here, character formatting, and align like so. So this is the current page number marker that we earlier talked about, and then when I check my pages, they will already have the page numbering happening. But if I want a page number to show up in other chapters, I'm gonna have to make sure not only the styles will be selected between the chapters, but also the master pages. So how to do that? Well, we need to go to the panels menu. Here we have synchronize options. Here I can check parent pages or master pages and give synchronize. And now they have been synchronized throughout the chapter, and notice the page numbers right there. Select all these and now synchronize options, and now we have the page numbers right like so. So this way, every time we synchronize not only the styles but master pages will also be synchronized. So we click here on synchronize, and they will come back again. So when I feel like I'm ready to export the book, it's quite easy to do. All I have to do is go to the panels menu again, and maybe just save the book. Go back again, and then I can export the book to EPUB, or export selected documents for print, or export selected documents to PDF. Or maybe I could just pre-flight book or package the whole document. Now there are different ways of exporting your work in the last two chapters, but now I'm just going to show the most common one is exporting to PDF. And I'll make sure it's saved into the same folder. I will use the PDF print saved. Export book to PDF. I'm going to keep everything as default. Save this as desktop. Save. Compression here, advanced. Okay, I'll just keep it as it is. Not much of a difference. I'm just going to go ahead and give export. And there it came up with a file. I'll explain later why it's best for exporting these files. It'll create a combined PDF from all these chapters. And let's take a look how it'll look here to stop. And that's how it looks like. Came up with the page numbering and everything. And because I kept the face pages on, it came with this settings. Of course, if you have some empty pages, you should have them removed before you save your PDF, and then rest of the pages with the copy and so on and so forth. So of course it will need some extra work in that case. So I just wanted to walk you through the most important steps of creating and working with book files. And the good news is that everything with the long documents is covered, and next chapter we'll be discussing about how to work with print.